All right, guys, welcome back to another show on the Asian Investor Podcast. I mentioned maybe a month or two ago that we're going to start having some format changes here. Going back 6 months, 7 months, a year ago, I would just have investors, Asian investors from all across the country, have my, have the person that books my shows just, put on whoever they thought would be a great guest. And a few months ago, we decided to start incorporating people in my own local market that I work directly with. And I've got a guy here today that I've known for probably, oh man, it's not quite 10 years, but probably edging up on 10 years from when we
Definitely.
first. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Enis. And so I want to talk a little bit about kind of like your past, your history, what you've done, because you've made a lot of ground in the last just probably like 3 or 4 years. But, we talked about this and before we jumped on the program, you didn't start your career even in the United States, right?
No, I moved here in 2004, as I shared with you. So that's really, when I got in the country, and the real estate was just not something I was thinking about back then.
How old were you in 2000?
21.
21.
Yeah.
Where did you come from and why did you come to America in 2004?
Yeah. So I'm originally from Albania. I was born in Albania. At 14 years old is when I moved to Italy. This was 1997. Italy was, way better. School system was much better. And I had family living there. So my parents signed me up for high school in Italy. So that's where I moved, lived there for 7 years. And then in 2004, there was an opportunity to transfer here for school, to come to college. So I was going through the first year there, and then I could transfer to the United States. So, that was a dream come true for me because way better opportunities. That's, you think of the United States as this, amazing country that's going to give you a lot of opportunities and a better lifestyle.
So what made you, because Europe obviously has a lot of good things going for it too. So what was the mindset to be like, okay, I'm in a European country, obviously, pretty high standard of living and pretty good education and stuff like that. Like when you got the opportunity to come to America, was it like an automatic, like I have to do this type of thing? Or was it a debate to say like, I'm getting used to living in Italy and stuff like that?
No, it was automatic, at least for me, so, and you got to keep in mind also being, from Albania, living in Italy, you are not a Italian citizen. So you are definitely also looked at as, an outsider, less opportunities, people will judge you. It's just part of what happens, in Europe. And so, no, I didn't think twice. I'm like, hey, once in a lifetime opportunity, I'm taking this.
So you were 21 when you came here, and that was specifically to go to college?
Yeah.
And where did you go to school?
Endicott, up in Beverly.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you came like right to the North Shore right out of the gate.
Yep.
That's interesting because like Endicott,
small college.
Yeah, small college. Like, truthfully, I didn't even know Endicott until I graduated college. Like, I didn't even know Endicott was even a school, and that's very local to me until then. So what did you major in?
Business. So business administration.
So you got here when you were 21, and then were you done at like 24, 25?
24, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
So actually 2008 is when I graduated, and right off the gate, we ended up buying a restaurant, me and my brother. There was this older gentleman, an Italian guy in Quincy, North Quincy on Billings Road. And so the restaurant was up for sale, and we're like, you know what, let's jump into it instead of looking for a job. We have always had this entrepreneurial thing going on in the family. My parents did the same thing with different businesses. So we just, we weren't looking for a job at that point. We just wanted to run a business.
Yeah. So when you were going to college and you were, going through getting your business degree, you had no intentions even at that point of getting like a regular job?
Yes and no. I would look at other people going into internship, and I did a couple internships. It just wasn't something that I really enjoyed. I knew that's the route most people were going, right? And they were looking for a job and getting job offers and stuff. But I was more excited about starting something that was ours, and growing it.
So now you had never had any restaurant management experience, right?
Zero. That was no experience in the restaurant business or as a cook or a chef or anything like that, which is the crazy part. But the other thing, Tom, is at that point I brought my parents over, and my parents, when they moved over, they were in their early 50s, broken English and all that stuff. So it was a struggle for them. So they were working in the restaurant business. And one of the reasons to get into that, we said, you know what, why are they working for other people? They're making minimum wage, struggling with different hours. Let's bring them into a business that we can run together. So that was also a big push for us to just kind of, work together, make sure that they are comfortable, because they were struggling. My dad is a civil engineer back home, and he was here and just washing dishes, right? So it was a big difference for him and my mom.
So I guess, and I don't know the answer to the story, because you were on stage the other day at our conference, and you were talking about it and kind of saying how challenging it was to run a restaurant. But I mean, how did it go in the beginning and throughout the whole process? I know it's hard. That's one thing I learned early on, is not to open a restaurant.
Oh man, it was insane. I shared that with you on stage, but no, it was the hardest experience, the hardest thing I've ever done. Whatever I go through in real estate, even on the worst days, right, dealing with contractors and all type of issues that we deal with, it doesn't compare to the restaurant business. It was 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, every day, right? Even, holidays, I think maybe we closed 2 or 3 times a year. Yes, the physical stress, right, because you're there every day, the mental stress because I'm trying to grow the business, and now the whole family is employed. And then you bring, employees in the mix, and they were mostly young employees, so they wouldn't show up and all that stuff was, I learned a lot there, but wasn't something I would really engage in again or start again. It's a lot of stress, plus the family, environment, right, where a parent wanted to do one way and I'm doing the other way, so now you had that contradictions too, and
so
really tough.
So how long did that go on for?
5 years. Yeah. Okay,
so I don't know the exact year I met you, but I feel like that's about when I met you, like
exactly right. Yeah, right after we sold the real estate, the business, then we started looking into getting into real estate. One of the first guys I followed that became friends with was Justin Silverio. Justin, obviously good friend of you and Bill. And so I'm not sure if he probably introduced me to you or somehow shared content.
No. I remember.
Really? Was it the other way around?
No, I remember exactly how I met you. Corey Malconian brought you to our office.
Okay, got it. It was Corey. Okay.
I was doing a training. So is that would be right? You knew Corey, right?
Yes. Okay. That sounds about right. And actually Corey will confirm that. Yes, because good point. Okay. No, but Corey, I know Justin also mentioned you guys, but I was mistaken.
No, that's okay. I wasn't saying it to correct you. More like Corey's a funny guy, and I know not everybody on this podcast will even know who Corey is, but Corey's like the ultimate connector. Corey, he knows everybody. He talks to everybody.
Yes.
And I'm really surprised at who Corey knows from like top to bottom. Like he's the type of person who, if there's somebody famous at a bar, he'll be the one walking up to them to like say hello. So he doesn't care. But yeah, I remember you came to one of my trainings, and I remember you were talking about getting into real estate investing and stuff like that. And you didn't at first, right? Or did you?
I don't remember, but it didn't take me long before I jumped on board with Cameron. I don't know if it was right away, but it was very, very quick after that. I don't think I don't remember exact timelines.
Now, when so you were making money in the restaurant business, like what made you decide that you even want to do real estate other than the fact that the restaurant business was difficult?
Yeah, the restaurant business. So definitely was a good income. It was a cash business, so all of that was good. But like I said, the hours and managing a team of 15 or 20 employees, that's just not something I was up for, and I couldn't scale that business. I just couldn't see myself scale the business to a point where I could take time off or do anything like that. So I got married in 2012, and I had a conversation with my wife, and we both agreed that, hey, this is not a business that is going to allow me to have a family life as well.
But what made you say real estate? Because this is the thing that, like, for me, like, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I was like immediately like, okay, this is the thing. But what made you say this is going to be the thing moving forward?
We were following, Bigger Pockets was early. It was young back then, but we're definitely was my brother that had mentioned Bigger Pockets to me. So I'd listened to some of the podcasts and read some of the books and things like that. And I was definitely drawn to the idea of having cash flow, come from our rental properties or come from rental properties. And so that got me really excited because it was the opposite of what I was doing at the business, right? At the restaurant, I was physically there managing day in and day out in order to generate a paycheck. Rental real estate, and that's why I got into business. I didn't get in the business to do new construction or fix and flips or wholesales. I really got in the business to buy real estate and hold it long term. I like the idea of the rents coming in every month. The mailbox money.
So I think we're probably falling into like a very similar category where it's like, and this I feel like this happens with everybody, and I'm actually curious to get your opinion on this. Like, you don't get into the business to fix and flip. You don't get into the business to do new construction, and yet that's a lot of what you do.
Right.
But yet your vision is to get the passive income. So I have a theory on this, but I'm just curious, like, why do you think you're doing so many, fix and flip projects, new construction? I mean, I see projects you're doing and I see the photos and I'm like, I won't even do a project like this because it's too much work.
It's too much work.
Why are you doing these things now?
It's so obviously, I've learned this from you where we are in the lead generation business, right? So now we're talking to a lot of people, approaching a lot of people. And once we go on those seller appointments, get a contract signed, what do you do with that property, right? You got the option of keeping it as a rental, but the rentals in our area here in Greater Boston, single families, the numbers don't work. So it doesn't make sense owning and keeping it as a rental. You can wholesale it, which we're doing a lot more lately. But the fix and flip has been the route that we took to generate a profit, right? And then take that profit, put it as a deposit on a multifamily building. And that's why we did our first fix and flip. I mean, even, going back to 2014 when we started, we were looking for deposit money to buy a rental building. And we're like, how do we generate that?
And I think this is the thing that oftentimes gets missed, especially with agents, where agents will say to me all the time, I don't want to fix and flip. I don't want to wholesale. I don't want to do these things. But then they say, well, I have no money to buy a property, and go, well, you kind of just answered your own question, right? Like, you've got to yes, you can do deals with no money, and we teach on that and whatnot, but buy and hold is a little bit tougher, right? Because you do need some sort of way to get that down payment, some sort of way to get into that deal. So the first deal you did in 2014, you just did a flip or a wholesale and then just bought a multi with it?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Our first fix and flip was in Wayland. Direct mail. A call came back and the guy was in Florida, older gentleman. The house in Wayland was vacant for years, and we ended up paying more than we should have. Ended up spending more on renovations that we should have, and broke even. We might have lost a little bit of money, but then with my commission as an agent on that deal, kind of broke even. So, 6 months later, but was good experience. I was, that first one was very stressful. Learned a ton, and hopefully we didn't lose a lot of money.
Yeah, well, you've already told 2 stories about mistakes, right? And running the restaurant, being really tough. You almost you didn't say this outward, but like almost like, wasn't what you would probably redo. But I always don't think that way, especially with that. And then the other thing is I always look at it like, And my partner and me, we disagree about this all the time. He'll look back 10 years and go, here's the 10 mistakes we made. And if we didn't do these 10 things, we'd be like 10 miles higher. But I actually just don't think that's how it works. Like, I think, okay, let's say that you came to here and you didn't open the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Could you have gotten right into real estate? You could say maybe, but you may not have, right? And then you may have ended up getting a job, or the deal you did in Wayland. It's like, okay, you lost money, but after you did that deal, obviously with your own mindset, you're like, oh, I know what caused me to lose money on this deal. If I change these two variables, I'm going to make money.
Absolutely. No, and that's where, that's why it's great experience, right? That I think it's painful initially, but that going through that pain and you get through the other side stronger, and you learn from it. And, hopefully we don't do the same mistakes next time. But I agree with you. I think following that restaurant business path, I think it got me even closer to real estate. That was funny because we had some clients coming to the restaurant. They were mortgage brokers, and these guys would, they would drive fancy cars and dress up super nice. And I'm like, what are these guys doing? What do they do? And this was right around the 2008, 2009, and when the real estate crashed. And they were showing me some triple deckers in Dorchester for $100,000, and
Hey everyone, this is Tom Caffarella. I want to quickly interrupt the podcast to, number one, thank all of my loyal listeners of the Agent Investor podcast and tell you guys really quickly about an exciting event we have coming up. It's a 2-day event. It's called the Passive Income Real Estate Investor Event that you can find out more details at passiveincomeevent.com. We're going to be doing a 2-day training session teaching all of the agents and all of the investors at the event on how to achieve financial freedom through real estate. If you're like me and your goal is to not work 80, 100 hours a week grinding, selling real estate, flipping homes, definitely check out this event. We're going to teach you how to build a passive income portfolio so that you can retire, so that you can work when you want, how you want, and ultimately achieve financial freedom. So again, go to passiveincomeevent.com for more details, and we look forward to seeing you at the upcoming event.
When I first started investing, I met with a Home Investors franchisee named Jimmy Jordan, who you may have met or not met, but he very blue collar, him and his brother, and he had just got done finishing a roof. I go, oh, what were you doing? He goes, oh, yeah, we're buying these 3 families in Dorchester, and they work really well. We pay $120,000 for them. They rent out for $1,200 a month each for each unit. And he's like, yeah, they make a couple $1,000s a month, and we're doing really well. And I remember thinking, like, how am I not doing this? That's how I left the meeting. I'm like, this guy is like doing all the manual labor, doing everything. I'm like, I need to get into this. And then shortly after I did. But so you had the restaurant experience, you lost money on your first flip. And then like, again, going like at that point, was there any point at that point where you were like, well, maybe real estate's not the thing I should be doing?
No, honestly, since we started, I don't think that, look, we all have our bad days, right? You get punched in the face a lot of times. It's a roller coaster for sure, even on the investing side, but never got to a point where I would say, this is it. I wish I never did real estate or no, I've been really looking forward to the next thing and growing the business. So I never had that, big struggle moment where it's like, hey, let me get out of this.
Yeah. So for anybody who's like listening, and again, I said this to you kind of like, at the outset, you came here from first of all, you went to 2 countries. You didn't just go to one, right? So you're going to one country where you said you're an outsider, right? And then you go to another country where, I mean, America is very accepting overall, but you had to have felt the same way in America to some extent too.
Yeah.
There's just no way. I mean, it's harder, period. It's harder to do everything if you're from another country because you don't have the contacts that, you don't. I talk about my story and I'm like, I didn't have anything, whatever, but I still had contacts. I still knew how the country ran. I still knew all the basics. So one thing for anybody, two things actually for anybody who's listening. First, the degree of difficulty with what you've done is much more challenging because you're not from America. Second, again, just the mindset thing where I asked him if there was a point where he wanted to quit. The answer is no. And we haven't even talked about what you've done. So we've talked about a couple things that you kind of didn't do well on, but kind of fast forward us because you talked about keep taking the next step. Right. What did that look like for you? And then, where are you at today?
So, well, what happened next is keep pushing on the lead generation side and getting to learn that. I think that's where, I think that was the right thing to do back then for us. And we didn't realize it back then, but the fact that we focused on generating off-market leads, getting good at direct mail, getting good at going on seller appointments, learning from people that are ahead of us and doing this, that's what helped us, because we made a ton of mistakes on the construction side. We made a ton of mistakes calculating, the after repair value, right? The exit number on properties. But because we bought off market, usually that was that saved us. And then put a lot of our profit into the business. We didn't get paid probably for the last 3 years. It might have been closer to 4 years, but we didn't get anything home. And it was tough. I don't know if I would do it the same way, but it was just our family was just like a one income family. My wife was the only one bringing cash home, and so I was investing in the business, but really not getting anything in return. Back home, right? So, but that helped the business grow because now from that point on, we started generating more and more leads, and then hired our first employee. And that was kind of the moment where the business really felt like a business, because to that point it was just me and my brother. Me and him partners 50-50. And so with that first hire, it felt like a real business. We had to step it up. Obviously now you have to train, you have to lead employees. So it puts you in a position that you got to get better yourself to professionally. And then from that first employee, now we are at a point where it's 10 of us, 10 employees plus me and my brother. And, so it's everybody's full-time into real estate. I'm a general contractor. We fix and flip, we build new construction, we're wholesaling, own rental properties. We have the team under Cameron on the agent side, and have our own office space here that's brand new. It's 3,000 square feet, and we love.
Yeah, I want to know, how do you have better office space than me? I still have to go there, but I'm getting very jealous because I've seen this a few times, like pictures and stuff of you holding events there, and I'm like, damn, like I'm still in this old office, and my office itself is like a 10-by-8 room basically, and it's so funny, but I'm so lazy with that stuff. Like my office is in between me and Bill's house, and I'm like, I don't know if we can get any better because we both have a 10-minute commute home, and everything's set up. But your office looks amazing.
Well, with what you guys are building now, new construction, maybe next building that comes up, you put a commercial building on the first floor or something like that.
We keep thinking about that, and it always comes down to it's our time is better spent focusing on the business, and so we've just been doing that, like you said, parlaying everything and paying ourselves as little as possible and all that kind of stuff, just dumping it back in. So again, you talked about in the beginning, like getting to that passive income component. Where do you stand with that, and kind of where do you want to go?
So we are at a point. So right now we have 60, just shy of 60 doors between all the rentals. A couple commercial spaces, but mostly it's residential real estate. And obviously it's bringing good cash flow in. We have the property management in-house. Definitely want to get to a point where are building just like you guys, definitely following your steps, but new construction, right? Because we realize that everything that we're buying is so old that it keeps breaking.
Yeah.
And it looks exciting up front, and it matches, let's say the 1% rule, or, the cash on cash return might look okay when you're purchasing it. Then things break. Then you got vacancies and you got all type of issues with evictions. So it might look good on paper, but once you own it for a while, then you realize it's not something you're proud of, right? It's, not a building that you would keep forever. So we are moving slowly towards new construction, multifamily real estate.
Well, what I'll say to you is, I see the projects you're doing on the fix and flip side. Some of those are harder than what we're doing on the apartment side. And it might be hard to believe.
Right.
But when I'm looking at some of the stuff you're doing and I go, wow, like I remember doing stuff like that. And it's harder. It's harder because when you're doing like an apartment building, you can hire professional people, a professional company, versus like, what you're dealing with trying to get a 3-family in Dorchester that like is halfway burned down, fixed.
Yeah.
So
100%. No, I believe that. We got a project right now, Tom, that's a 34 unit. That's going to be our first ground up new construction of that size. And we're on track to break ground in March. So that's the direction we want to go. Hopefully that goes well. That one is in Hyde Park, but if it goes well, we'd love to do more of those, and not necessarily in the city of Boston, but if we can get to, 30, 40, 50 unit buildings, new construction, that would be something we'd be interested in. But we're at 60 doors, looking to get to 100 next year and go from there.
Nice. So what's kind of the, you've been doing this for a while now. I guess, what's the biggest piece of advice that you would give to somebody who's kind of at the beginning phase?
Well, commit to real estate. If that's something you want to do, take action, and learn the lead generation business, because that's what this business is all about. I mean, yes, we talk about houses and real estate and multifamily, but honestly, at the end of the day, it's a lead generation business. And if someone can do that, if they can do the door knocking, the cold calling, the talking to people and finding these off market deals, I think that's extremely, extremely important. So I talk to a lot of people just like you. We have this. We started doing these classes actually here at the office for people just starting out, and I tell them, just if you are here, just put your effort, make sure that you take action, do that one thing, and just make real estate work for you, right? But you can't be you can't wait for a deal to fall in your lap. You got to do the lead generation activities.
And so what's the objective for you with running all of the events? Because I do see you doing all of that as well.
Objection meaning?
No, like the objective for you doing.
Oh, the objective. Honestly, just, the networking. It has been really good to connect with all type of different people. We have got employees from the meetup groups. We have got, money partners from the meetup groups. It's been, people bring us in the deals, meaning, they find a deal, they want to partner, they bring us in. So it's been great for lead generation, but honestly, just giving back, right? I got a lot from you. I got, a lot from guys like Justin, it's my time to give back.
Yeah. No, I feel the same way. Like we do get a benefit from it, but I think the bigger benefit is just the giving back. Not that, any of us are saints or completely altruistic, but, because you do get a benefit, you do raise some capital here.
Absolutely.
You do get some deals here and there, but I think when you put out the weighing scale and you say like, who's getting the bigger benefit, the attendees or the host, it's probably the attendees, but that's okay though. I mean, to me, it's like, I don't know if it's helping people or just kind of like sharing your knowledge it's changed my life. I mean, I know it's changed yours too. And it's like, if you can help, change a few more people, because right, when you came to America, and I know for me, when I first started, it's like, you don't know who to go to for anything. And you're fighting like to just figure it out, like to see like, and I went to, I don't know if you've had a similar experience, but when I was trying to figure it out, 9 out of 10 times when I would go to get help or come to an event or whatever, like I would get the wrong information, or someone's trying to sell me a product, or it's like, someone's trying to tell me to do a multi-level marketing thing, or it's like, and you just don't know. Like, and that's why, like, I feel like when somebody comes to like my event or your office or whatever, it's like they're getting, whether or not they implement it, they're getting the right guidance that they need.
Yeah. And that's my goal with that, and I tell them the same thing when we get together. Hey, I'm not a guru. I'm not here to sell you on anything. I'm just sharing what worked for me and what's not working for me. And hopefully you take a couple of things and implement it in your business. But it has been, it's been really good for me also to put myself out there. I'm an introvert by nature, hated the crowds, always had a hard time speaking in public, really, really hard time with that. So to be up there, to be on camera, to be in front of a meetup group to talk, that just got me out of my comfort zone. And I think has helped tremendously in that side.
How do you feel about that now? Like, do you still feel like it's challenging to you, or have you kind of like not mastered it, because you're not going to master it, but like, do you feel comfortable at this point?
Yeah. So it used to be 9 out of 10 as far as like level of anxiety, it's just like I can't say a word and my heart was beating, to like now being maybe a 2 out of 10, right? But you're still a little nervous about how you're going to be perceived. And, and I overthink, right? I'm, like the other night we had people here I was just thinking, is this enough? Is this good value to the crowd, right? They're spending Monday night here with us. I want it to be something that's valuable to them. So that makes me a little nervous. But it's getting better. Like I said, from a 9 out of 10 to 2 out of 10, it's not bad.
Yeah, no, I mean, how I would look at it completely differently if I were you, because you care. And so when you care, you're going to deliver, good value. It's really the people who don't care that are the problem. And again, I've been to enough of these where, like, I remember, going to a Rich Dad, Poor Dad conference in like 2003. And I remember, obviously, people who are training or coaching, they need to make money too. But I remember showing up and sitting in a seat and no information whatsoever. No, how do you succeed in real estate? From like the second that it opened, it was just a hard sell. And honestly, like, I don't even know what they were trying to sell me, because they weren't showing me how they were going to even help me. So, I think if you're going into it with good intentions, and you know what you're talking about, so you're definitely going to be above anybody who walks into that. So it's like, you can definitely help.
Yeah, and that's the goal. So, appreciate the feedback. I think I'm too harsh on myself sometimes.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, that's another common trait of successful people. It's like, if you're thinking everything you're doing is good, then there's probably a problem. So, we just capped off that 2-day event, and I met with our team after, and the first thing, I start going through all the things we can do better, and I stopped myself 20 minutes, and I go, guys, just to let you know, like, I have to say this, like, everything went really well, but my brain is automatically, what could have been done better? And sometimes I have to stop myself, because when you're leading a team, people don't want to hear how my mindset is. Like,
right. I think they delivered. I think they delivered big time. Was very professionally done, well put together.
They did. And that's why 20 minutes in, I'm going, wow, like, everything I'm saying probably sounds like I thought it was bad, but it was all stuff that, like, if I'm giving a presentation or I'm doing an event, I want you to tell me what could have been better, not what I did good, but what I can do better.
Yeah, maybe the audio next time they can mess up. I know that drove you crazy.
Wait, what?
The audio. You had the mic.
Audio. Oh man. Well, yeah, because, like, here's the thing. You're up there, you're talking, you get into a good mode, a train of thought, and then the mic just kept cutting. Yeah, I said that, but that wasn't my team. That was the DJ. So I can't blame anybody for that. I mean, but yeah, so I mean, what you've done, and again, it's been to watch what you've been doing. And this is you're the perfect example, right? I talked about this at the event of, like, stuff being exponential and not linear. And when you first started, we first met, like you were doing some stuff and you were probably running as fast as you could, but you were like, going slow. You were running as hard as you could, but you could only go at kind of a slow pace.
Right.
And it's just so interesting because like in the last 2 years, like you've gone really high, really quick. Again, you talked about like when did you hire your first employee?
2019.
Right. So 2013 to 19 took you 6 years to hire one person. Now you have 10 people.
That's correct.
And that's just like, that's the hard thing when we're up there and, I'm up there and I'm talking to people and people want to get great results and I want to give them good results and I want to get great results. But it's crazy how like you're like battling and like, oh my God, things just got way easier.
Yeah.
And now you have a 10-person team and you've got the 60 units and you've got, a retail team and you are doing a bunch of fix and flips. And it's like, it's just crazy because it really probably looks like if somebody met you 3 years ago in 2019, they're probably like, damn, overnight success.
Overnight success, right?
but in reality,
far from the truth.
It didn't even start though when you started in real estate. It started because it started before you came to America because you were like, I'm coming to America to get more opportunity. So it's like that. It was like the mindset in 2004 or 5.
Yeah.
Now it's 17 years later. And it's a little bit depressing that it takes 20 years, but it's just what it is,
That's what it is. You got to put the work, you got to, the hustle, the everyday and getting better, that, 1% a day, right? And learning and growing. It's not going to come to you unless you try and you try hard. But I think there are some huge opportunities in real estate and people don't, they don't realize that. And it looks like it's going to happen fast. I talk to a lot of people that think they're going to get rich in real estate overnight, and it doesn't happen that way. It just doesn't happen.
But the thing that I always say, and like, I've seen it with you, just with so many people, it's not overnight, but it's almost a guarantee. Wouldn't you agree that like, if you just keep pushing forward in real estate, not that it's not that you can't fail, but wouldn't you say that like the odds are stacked in your favor if you're putting the effort behind you?
100%. It just, you can't go wrong. And by that, I don't mean that you can't lose money on deals, right? Or have a bad year or something, right? But if you stick with it 100%, you're going to succeed 100%.
Yeah, I think so too. It's almost the only people I see failing after being around the industry for 17 years are just the people that quit.
Yeah. Right.
And, it goes back, like if I'm saying like, what's the overall premise of everything that you've been doing? It's like, your mindset is that you're not quitting. Like you said, you never thought about quitting and you're not going to. So.
No, for me is, what's next? What can we do better? What's something that we can grow into, right? So that's why, we went from, doing a fix and flip to doing, multi and doing ground up new construction and trying the condo conversions, right? And all that stuff. Because I want to find out what's going to work for me and I want to try it, so right now that multifamily ground up new construction is something that gets me more excited than anything, We'll see how it goes with that Hyde Park one, right? But so far, we are pulling a permit this month with the city of Boston, and it's been 4 years in the making. So
one piece of advice on that we learned the hard way is you can do whatever you want, but I don't think Boston is the way to go. How challenging Boston specifically is.
Yes.
And that's why when you see where we're doing stuff, it's not Boston. Although I would love to ever have everything in Boston, but they make it a little too hard.
It's very challenging. Yeah, but the other thing, Tom, is if you got the right team in place, you mentioned that a little bit earlier, where you said, you hire professionals that they're going to help you get to the finish line. That's what I realized. I put together a good team that knows what they're doing. It's taking 4 years to just get a building permit in hand, right? So that's insane. But they are doing most of the work because they know how to do it. And we can rinse and repeat. So if this Hyde Park one goes well, we got another one that we're proposing in Hyde Park, a 28 unit, because now we learned the roadmap, so, but I agree with you. If I can find something outside the city, it's probably better.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on all your success. And I apologize to both you and the listeners I'm at my lake house right now. I've got my 4 kids, and I don't know if you noticed or not, but I've reshuffled my positioning about 10 times. I've had
trying to avoid the kids.
Oh my God. I mean, I love seeing them, but probably it's not exactly the best setting here right now. I had to take my boat out of the water for the final
winter.
For the winter. So, yeah, so I appreciate you bearing with me, and you were a great guest, and obviously I'll see you, very shortly.
Yeah, we got to bring the kids in the podcast next time. Get them to say a thing or two.
Yeah, there was a moment where I almost brought my daughter on because she was behind me mocking me. Yeah, so, but I decided against it. So,
thank you. No, this is super exciting. I was looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm appreciate the conversation and the invite.
All right, thank you. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll be back again next week with another episode of the Agent Investor Podcast. Thank you for watching.
Thanks again for listening to the Agent Investor Podcast. And especially thank you for sharing the show with other agents and reviewing the show on iTunes. Every time you share the show and leave a review, you are potentially changing someone's life. To get free weekly education, strategies, and to connect with other agent investors across the country, join our free Facebook group at agentinvestor.com. Again, that's agentinvestor.com.